So I went to Less Wrong. They're a rationality website. They're supposed to be really big on reason and error correction and fallibility and trying to become less wrong. They're not very good at it though. They don't really like paths forward. Actually, one of their people liked it a lot and said I was an ally and came and joined FI list and then posted about NVC. But that same guy later in the discussion thought Path Forward was ridiculous and completely unreasonable and did not remember that he had previously said it was amazing. He was a moderator and he gave me like 700 bonus karma so that I would be positive instead of negative so that I could post on the site again. So he liked it enough to like restore my account to good standing. But then he hated it enough once the idea that Less Wrong was bad at Path Forward was raised. Or the idea that he wasn't doing Path Forward correctly. He liked it when it was like, oh yeah, this is super rational, I can impress people with this. But then when it was actually a challenge to him, then he didn't like it anymore. He didn't want to be challenged to actually change and improve. He likes they have all this vague rationality material that like sounds nice. Like I read the 12 Rationality Virtues by Eliza Yudkowsky, and it was pretty good and it had some good points, but it's not very like pressuring. It's not very aggressive. It's reasonably easy to read it and think you agree with it and think that it's saying you're great and everyone else sucks. And it's designed that way on purpose, and that's part of where the popularity comes from. So anyway, I went and had a bunch of discussions with Less Wrong, and they are Bayesian inductivists. They do not like Popper. Um, they totally think induction works. Oh, I just realized I can change emoji in the middle of a video. I don't have to just pick one. That's cool. So I'm a poop now. Because I'm using the iPhone in preview mode so that I can record for more than 10 seconds. So because it's in preview mode instead of an actual recording, it lets me just switch whenever I want between different Animoji. So now I'm a monkey. Anyway, the Less Wrong people, they don't like Popper. They're inductivists. They want to invent AGI, but they don't want to talk about epistemology. They're very empiricist. They want to observe things and predict things, and it's easier to do AGI that way because, or to try to, like, because they don't want to think about how do you make an AGI write an explanation or evaluate an explanation. They just want to evaluate data points to keep things simpler, and they've sort of built their epistemology around thinking that will actually work, which it won't. So they're working on a dead end and they don't want to hear it. And there's if they're wrong, there's no way for them to find out. Like, you can't tell them. They have a lack of paths forward. What is it that would change their mind? They don't want to read Popper. So here's what I wanted to talk about kind of is, I went and talked with a bunch of people informally, and most of them don't really know what they're talking about, haven't read a lot, don't write much, don't write serious essays, certainly don't write books. There are other people in the community who write things like books and more serious essays, but those people don't want to discuss. It's like one or the other. Where the people who are like serious authors, who are well educated and so on, who also have discussions. It's like some people write some stuff, and then other people who don't know what they're talking about are the only ones who will defend it from criticism and answer questions about it. So that doesn't work that well. That doesn't make a lot of sense. One of the bad things about this is it doesn't have the auto silence deletion that I was using when I was making audio only podcasts, where if I paused for more than 2 seconds, it would just delete the extra silence automatically. So that was nice. I can manually delete some of the longer silences though, even though it'll make the animation is going to be jerky at the parts where I delete stuff, because if you cut stuff out, then it's just going to like instantly change the face. But whatever, it'll probably be fine. It's like a little jerky and not perfect anyways. So I don't know how much difference that'll make. So the Less Wrong people, when I had informal discussions with them, they kept complaining, like, where are your arguments? There's not enough substance here. They didn't understand all my points, and it would take like a really long time to explain it all to them. And but the thing is, they didn't want to read books. When I try to link them to an essay that I wrote, they wouldn't want to read that either. So it's like, yeah, the substance was published decades ago by Popper, and you won't read it. And I wrote summaries of Popper, and you won't read those either. And then you're complaining that I don't tell you absolutely everything about a huge subject informally in a chat room that isn't even public. Or, I mean, I thought it was public, but I got banned for posting the logs to FI. I just posted my own chat logs, the discussions I had with these people. And they banned me from their chat room for it. They have a forum online, but they also have a chat room, which they have a public webpage that says you can join this chat room, just email this person and they'll add you. And as far as I know, they just like add anyone. And then you can actually see messages from before you joined. But that was too, and there's like 500 people there. And so you're telling like 500 of your closest friends stuff and then expecting privacy. It's like on Facebook where they have like private groups with like thousands of people and then they get mad at you if you want to talk about it in public. And by private group, I mean a group that will click accept to let anyone join with absolutely no screening process. So you can just like make up a fake name and join. It's very easy. But then they think it's private or something. I think they like to pretend it's private. Or they just hated me. Like people already wanted me banned before that happened just because I was disagreeing with them. They're not very like tolerant of different viewpoints or very like interested in that. None of them take responsibility for answering issues. Like they all just sort of argue a few points that they feel like it and then drop the topic. And then they'll start arguing like a different point at a later time, but they never like continue any discussion thread to a conclusion. And none of them care about arguments that I said to someone else. Like if I say an argument in a chat room with 500 people and I'm currently like responding to Joe, then Bill will just ignore it. Bill doesn't think he needs to answer it. Even if Joe has no answer and it is a criticism of Bill's position, Bill still ignores it because I didn't say, hey, Bill, here is my argument. Like, apparently, who you say an argument to matters, and it has to be a single person or no one will answer you. And if it's a single person, no one else will answer you. So it's a very bad system. But what's fucking sad is, like, what's a better place? Like, it's not like there's a bunch of more promising places to go try talking to instead to find anyone who wants to think. I went and got banned from the Harry Binswanger letter, like I think it was last year, like a year ago. That is the, like, most important objectivist discussion forum. The most serious one that has, like, a fair amount of discussion, and it's well established, and a lot of the people who care about objectivism are present, and they banned me for dissenting too much, for arguing about Popper and wanting to actually figure out the truth and resolve the issue instead of just say, oh yeah, you're totally right, I give in, I concede, even when they hadn't answered my points. And I got banned from the 5,000 member Critical Rationalism Karl Popper Facebook group because I mentioned Ayn Rand and annoyed people. So I got banned from the Ayn Rand group for mentioning Popper, and I got banned from the Popper group for mentioning Ayn Rand, and I got banned from the Rationality group for mentioning Paths Forward. So now what? It's pretty dumb. Anyway, I wrote blog posts about this stuff. I think they're pretty interesting. Like, these people are dumb, but the issues of Paths Forward and how that should work is interesting. And some guy named PL, or I mean pseudonymed PL, whatever. He posted under the name PL. He was talking about Paths Forward a bit. There's like some comments that are worth reading on the blog posts. So those are in the newsletter. Click on them, in my opinion. And reply. Tell me what you think of the Animoji podcast. Or just my newsletters in general. You can click reply to any newsletter and then say unicorns are silly or whatever else you want to say. Tell me your thoughts. I like feedback. Thanks. and goodbye.